action on the agenda this evening to review Resolution 222-2018, which describes an area in need of redevelopment. Richard Price has spoken to the council, Township Council, and had addressed the process. The process begins with a resolution passed by the council directing the planning board to review a property. This resolution that is to be discussed tonight, 222-2018, doesn't exist. It does not exist on the township's website. It does not exist in any set of minutes. It was apparently based on a discussion, which I think is as far as I can formally describe it, which took place at the November 19, 2018 meeting.
I will inquire. I mean, I'm looking at the resolution right now, and tomorrow morning I'll ask to make sure that it's up on the website. That's all I can do.
No, not the website. I'm saying whether they procedurally did everything correctly.
Well,
it's sitting right here in front of you.
This
It's right here.
body's received a certified copy.
It's in your packet, Howard.
The resolution that we had has been certified by the clerk as a proper resolution. That's all we know.
And just a quick housekeeping item, and then we're going to go to the good and welfare.
I have one thing before we go to good and welfare.
Yeah, okay, but 1 second. We agreed that the DPW facility on Teaneck Road, we are going to declare an area of need of redevelopment and send this Teaneck Road and send that to the planning board. I just need a motion and a second. I'll make the motion.
Yep,
A
second.
Can you
Okay.
just a point of clarity, can you just say what constitute an area of redevelopment? Like, what are the characteristics of that?
There, definitely, Councilman Rice, there are a list of, in the statute, I mean, I don't want to read the whole statute into the record.
Just for instance, particular to that site, which would render us deeming it
The
such.
building is substandard, unsafe, dilapidated, obsolete, possesses of such characteristics that it's not conducive to living there.
Check.
And I thought on the agenda it was River Road, Deputy Mayor. That
The
was-
River Road.
Teaneck Road.
No, I thought on the agenda, though, it says declaring the DPW site. My understanding was it was River Road. It was River Road that was,
No, so what was discussed is at the River Road site, we were going to bring it up at the planning board joint meeting at the next, hopefully at the next workshop within 30 to 60 days. That's what seemed like the support was, the consensus.
Yes.
But for Teaneck Road, the consensus is to move forward, and just for the residents, this is a property that's owned by the township. It's a little worn, to say the least. And we've been trying to get it back on the tax rolls and make Teaneck Road in the business district a little bit more beautiful, especially in that area. And we've had no takers, surprisingly. We went to bid, I think, about 3 times. We do have an interest, the council has an interest, and that's why we zoned it such, to make it for affordable housing for seniors, as well as to help complement the business district, which would mean we'd have a retail on the first floor. So we're going to now ask for a vote to start the process, which is declare an area in need of redevelopment on Teaneck Road. So I made the motion, I don't know.
Just in the zoning is staying the same. This is
Nothing's-
remain as
nothing's
affordable
changing as
housing,
far as
senior
zoning.
citizen. There's nothing.
Correct, and this is just the start of the process.
Correct.
I have a second by Councilman Kaplan. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call, Councilman Dunleavy,
Yes?
Councilwoman Ramirez,
Yes.
Councilman Pruitt, Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Schwartz,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Do we do Spruce Street also?
Do we need to do Spruce
We
Street, or
do
that's?
Spruce Street, that's a
No,
different
no,
letter.
we're not to do that now.
Okay.
Okay. All right, now is the time that we've all been excited and waiting for. You know, and maybe I'm making a mistake. You know, we spoke about the DPW on River Road, and I know there's 2 schools of thought as far as how to proceed. But the problem with government is unless you start taking action, especially with these meetings 1 month apart and trying to lay other meetings on other meetings or lay, you know, nothing will end up getting done. And right now we have employees that are suffering. Literally, they're outside on their backs in the cold trying to fix these trucks. We have vehicles that township taxpayers is paying a lot of money for, that's going through additional wear and tear because it's being exposed to the elements, and we're not serving the residents properly. So I know we discussed talking about the DPW River Road and declaring it an area, or reviewing or deciding it should be an area of need of redevelopment. I'd like to actually start that ball rolling and do it parallel. I'd like to make a motion that we ask the planning board to review it now. I'm also, like I said, I'm also in favor of having the planning board meeting and discussing it whenever that date should happen. But I don't want to slow down or put built-in delays, especially when it comes to the DPW, where everybody knows, the employees, the residents, especially since it's so actively used and visited by our residents, you know, that this is something that we as a council and we as a town should be focusing on and fixing and prioritizing. So that's my motion. I have a second.
I would
A second.
second. I tend to agree, especially if we're dealing with the other DPW facility, to let them have a
And it doesn't, like I
cohesive.
said, it doesn't put any specific route in stone.
Mm-hmm.
It just sets one ball in motion for one area to be able to review one area and review one option.
And to be clear for the residents and everyone else on the process, we're asking for a recommendation regarding this. They're going to have open public hearings at the planning board. Eventually, we'll have a plan to review. There will be more open public meetings at the council. Nothing is being decided, you know, right now of what to put in
So,
any particular
On that
area.
motion, and thank you, Alan, for reinforcing that tonight.
Can we discuss the motion?
Oh, yeah.
I think that we have a certain amount of unreadiness and confusion. The DPW is where it is. We ought to immediately move to take care of it where it is. It's an embarrassment. I think that's the worst embarrassment Teaneck has, where walls are falling down on buildings and people fortunately haven't been hurt. But we need to stop with the pie in the sky idea of we're going to have a DPW somewhere else. The DPW is where it is, and we ought to fix it so that it's useful to the township.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm actually going to address I'm not going to address the person in the audience that was clapping about that, because I believe that's an environmental nightmare that actually needs to be cleaned up. So I'm not going to give up on the pie in the sky idea that perhaps we can move the DPW somewhere, gain a riverside rateable with giving access to the township or to the public, which is missing to very few sites, but that being the largest site. We can clean up that site, which has been a dumping ground, which has been oil spills, which has been a bullet range. I forgot the.
A shooting range.
A shooting range. With lead contaminants. And we may very well have the possibility to move it, clean it up, redevelop it, and give access. Now, we're not making any of these decisions tonight, but I'm not going to give up on the pie in the sky unless until we're forced to. If there's nothing else, you're absolutely right. So let's start this process. It may be an utter waste of time, but I'm here, we got time.
So,
Can I just get a clarity?
Councilmember Rice,
I just want a point of clarity as to what the proposal is.
So what my motion was, or what the
Yes, what the
my
motion
motion was to have the planning board review this area as far as need of redevelopment. Right? Was it?
They
Did I
will
properly-
undertake what's called a preliminary investigation to determine where the proposed area is.
And I want to say, by the way, that for the record, in my opinion, both Dr. Pruitt and Deputy Mayor Schwartz are correct, because they're both pie-in-the-sky ideas right now. But we have to start turning these ideas into a little bit of action. So this is addressing or going in one course of action, but your action as far as continuing the DPW at that facility, obviously having to do a lot of remediation, cleanup, et cetera, we should also be reviewing, taking that course of action as well.
Deputy Mayor, Dr. Pruitt, I can just say, because everyone agrees that the DPW, I've never heard anyone on the council say that the DPW doesn't need to be repaired. That's clear. But I just want you to know, Dr. Pruitt, when you say whether it's there or whether it's what, Deputy Mayor Schwartz said in another location, the fact of the matter is, by declaring it an area in need of redevelopment, if the planning board agrees that it needs to be declared, it fits the criteria, as we talked about earlier, of what needs to be redeveloped, it gives you as a council so much more ability to be able to do, whether it's there or in another site or anywhere else, to do what you want to do to make it into the best DPW it can be.
Okay.
So I just have
Yes.
another question. When we
Councilmember.
discussed having a workshop meeting, is this something that would be the topic at the workshop? Or is this, you're talking about something that would happen prior to?
No, I think the problem is, we discussed having the workshop, but we don't know when that's going to be. So
I
if
thought
it
we
ends
set a
up being
date.
in 3 months from now or 4 months from now, we're just kicking the can further.
I thought we set a
You know-
date for that meeting.
No, we can't set a date without asking the planning board.
Well, this
I'd have to confer with the planning board secretary first.
Right.
what you're asking us to vote on is going to include the planning board, right?
It's going to the planning board.
Going
yes.
to the planning board.
Yes.
So the planning board is going to have hearings or discussions,
Yes,
whatever.
But I'm also in favor of Councilmember Rice's option, which is sitting down with the planning board as well.
Yes.
Listen, this is a major undertaking, and whether or not we move it or build it in place, as the attorney said, this is a good first step. But it requires a lot of communications and a lot of discussions and a lot of transparency after this discussion. But let's start the process, a process. Yes.
I agree we should make it an area in need of redevelopment, and it meets all the criteria, because everything's falling down. But I've been on this council 6 years? 7. Okay, 7 years. We've been talking about this for 7 years. It's time for us to decide
Take action.
where the DPW is going to be, and then do what we have to do to make it
So
viable.
One is
Let him
not
second the
mutually
motion.
exclusive.
Huh?
Yeah, one is not mutually exclusive. So so you agree that we should declare this area or go to the planning board for discussion? Roll call on that.
Councilman Dunleavy,
Yes.
Councilwoman Army Rice,
Yes.
Councilman Pruitt. Yeah. Councilman Kaplan,
Yes.
Councilman Deputy Mayor Schwartz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, next we've got, let's see, council listed, stand by on this. Consent agenda, raffles, minutes, resolutions,